Hey everyone! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I appreciate the support. And in this one, I want to speak to you guys about an image that I recently shared from INFJ woman, which said basically something like INFJs are the most emotional, unemotional person that anyone could know. And of course, everyone on the feed and in the community was like, wow, this is so true, and it's true for me, and it's absolutely true for INFJs, and things like that. And it's kind of funny because I think it's kind of the thing that's going on right now with a lot of INFJs in this crisis or in this pandemic situation where a lot of us are in the same boat where we are being emotional or we are emotional about the fact that, oh my God, this is happening and hundreds of thousands of people are dying and how terrible and people are losing their family members, etc., etc. And then we feel emotional about that or sad or whatever it might be. And then we're unemotional as well at the same time because we're like, well, we brought it upon ourselves and it's something that we deserve as human beings, and actually this is a good thing because it might result in some changes in the world which will be great for the environment and for Mother Earth and for humanity in general. And so perhaps this is something that's necessary. And so we're kind of able to, as INFJs, as you guys know already, we're a mass of contradictions, but also we are able to usually see things from a lot of different perspectives at the same time. And that kind of confuses other people, but for us, it's very easy for us to do that. It's very easy for us to look at things from many opposing perspectives and be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Both sides make sense to me, or all sides make sense to me. I'm able to see things from all sides, and it's okay. Right? It's absolutely logical in that regard. And I know a lot of INFJs are kind of going through the same thing right now, as I said, where they're like, well, yes, I do care about people, and I feel terrible for the people who are dealing with this stuff, and it's terrible for humanity in general. But I also see the other side of it, that the earth is kind of healing a little bit, and people are able to see that a lot of things that they were holding on to are actually temporary and useless and not important. And a lot of people perhaps will change their lifestyle, and maybe they'll focus more on time rather than money, more on relationships rather than stuff, things like that, right? And so we're really excited about both aspects of it, or excited by that aspect of it, and also feeling emotional and sad for all those people who are dealing with negative consequences of the situation. And it's kind of interesting because I started thinking about it, and I started wondering, how can we really stop ourselves from becoming these cold, aloof, unemotional people? Because a lot of people are going to look at us and they're only going to see that perspective of us that we're like, well, actually, this is a good thing. And they're going to look at us and think, wow, you're really, really cold and you're a terrible person. And how could you say that? People are dying, and don't you care at all? And what kind of a human being are you? How selfish of you? And things like that. And then we're kind of used to hearing this. So we're like, yeah, well, I mean, you don't get it. But also, it's terrible because we're not actually like that. We're not cold and we're not unemotional, and we're actually the opposite of that. But we're also able, or as I said, able to see the different opposing views, and therefore we sometimes come across as cold and aloof and emotional or robotic, or all of those words that have been used for us. I think I did a video where I said I used to have the nickname of Ice Princess, and I was like, I'm not icy at all, really, if you get to know me, but of course we come across as that. And so that's actually the conundrum here. That's actually the problem as an INFJ, is how do we still, of course, maintain our ability to see all the different opposing views and maintain logic around it, because obviously that's a strength of ours, but not come across as absolute D-bags in front of other people, or come across as a-holes, or come across as cold, aloof robots to other people, because that means, unfortunately, that we're going to lose people from our lives, or that we're not going to be able to form friendships or relationships or build friendships or relationships to be stronger and better, because people are not going to be able to trust us, because they won't be able to believe that we can be warm, kind, amazing, generous human beings, which we are mostly, but we don't come across as that. And so, as I said, the conundrum here always, for me especially, is very important because I know that I do a lot of times come across, and I know I can feel it in the gaze of the people around me, or the way they look at me, or the way they speak to me, that I'm actually not being empathetic towards them. Sometimes I'm doing that deliberately because sometimes I believe that they're just being over dramatic, and they just need to, stop that and actually realize that they are very lucky, and they just need to be grateful for what they have. But sometimes I'm like, well, am I just I'm not doing it right. I don't think I'm doing it right, because a lot of times, yes, they might be over dramatic, and yes, they might be making a bigger deal than it actually is, but that's who they are. Maybe that's just the person they are, and what I need to do is just be empathetic in that moment, show my empathic skills, be that warm person that they need, support them in that regard, and let them be the way they are, because that's just who their personality, what their characteristics are, right? And so I always find this to be one of the hardest things for me to figure out, is like, what role should I play? Should I play the warm, generous, kind human being role right now, or should I be logical and rational and explain to them how this is actually a good thing? Or should I, be empathic, or should I be like, all right, stop it now, and you're making a big deal out of things when you shouldn't, and all of that. I don't actually know which role to play at most times. And so by default, mostly I end up playing the cold, unemotional robot role, because it's easy for me and I don't have to think about it. Of course, I don't want to play that role all the time. I think it's actually a terrible thing, because it kind of doesn't take advantage of any of my skills as a tender, empathic, highly sensitive person, because I'm trying to protect my heart, or I'm trying to protect my energy, or whatever it might be, and then I actually end up coming across, as I said, as highly robotic and highly cold, which I really don't like either, because I don't want to do that. I want to be there for the people around me. I want to support them in the way that they deserve, or the way that they want to be supported, the way they desire to be supported. But a lot of times I end up playing the wrong role, or I end up kind of not doing it right. And so I wanted to do this video, not only obviously because I want to share this conundrum that we have as INFJs, a very important thing to discuss, obviously, but also to hear from you guys, to hear what you guys, or how have you played this conundrum? What side have you guys taken? Or, how do you figure out how you play it? Like, which side do you figure out, and how do you figure out which side to play? And how do you prevent yourself from coming across as that cold, robotic human being, which you are not? And if you guys have strategies to share with us, of course, I'd love to hear them. My main strategy that I've been working on is my default mode has to be changed. My default, normally, as I said, my default is to be like, all right, cool, I'm just going to be cold and robotic. I'm trying now, as much as possible, as I realize myself and I understand myself, is to make my default to be the tender, loving, empathic person. So instead of being like, all right, this person doesn't deserve my sympathy, or oh, I'm gonna use logic or rationality here, and I'm gonna use the stats and the figures rather than my emotions and feelings, I try as much as possible, and try is a big key word here. I'm still working on it. I try as much as possible to make my default tenderness and love and empathicness and empathy, obviously, rather than just being like, well, get over it kind of thing. Which a lot of times I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, my goodness, can you stop being such an overdramatic fool? Can you just get over yourself? And I know it sounds terrible, because in my head I'm like, all right, you're a terrible person. No one even needs to say that to me, because I say it to myself. But I do sometimes have this feeling where I'm like, all right, you're just being way too robotic, way too cold, and you need to stop that. You need to really rein it in and actually really bring out your empathic side, because you're being an absolute D-bag right now. And I really have to talk to myself like this, because I'm like, all right, just calm down. So that's what I've been trying to do, is I'm trying to change my default mode to be that empathic person, to bring that out as soon as possible, rather than being like, all right, cool, I'm going to be cold and robotic. But again, as I said, I'd love to hear your strategies on it, because I'm still in the early phases of this, and I'm still just figuring this out for myself. And so if you guys have any suggestions or tips or tricks or points to remember, I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below. Again, if you guys have any questions about what I've shared here, please comment below as well, and I'll do a follow-up video. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And I'm sure if you're an INFJ, you are definitely nodding your head and saying, oh my God, I do this as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, especially during this time when you guys could be doing anything else. You're watching my videos, and I'm so grateful. And I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.